Welcome back, everyone. And thank you for attending the 365 Consciousness podcast, day three. And let me just bring up a point that we're not going to go back into reintroducing the so called instructions of this book. So, what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead and proceed into the workbook into day three. If you have not done day one or day two, please do so now. So that way you can catch up. We're at very early of this process. So it should help tremendously for you to start right from the beginning. So off we go. We are at a wonderful point of day three. And let me just bring up our day three page. There we go. Let's take a look at here. Day three starts with I wonder, thoughts becomes reality. Where should I be? So the emphasis is really on where should I be? And when you look at this, we've already been at this for 2 days now. So this is the third day. And now where should I be? That's interesting, isn't it? Where should I be? So, with that, let's take a look at multi level memories, especially those seem so real. So, now when you look at this, you realize that there's a haze in the graphics and the illustration, and is making sure that you're paying attention to where should I be? So, where are you at this place? Where are you at this time in your life? Are you getting everything that you want it to be? Are you doing everything you want to do? Let's think about that. Let's take a second and really let the silence set, be still, and understand where you are at with all this. Breathe in deep, concentrate. What we really want is for you to start to get some impressions, start to get some ideas. Okay. So from this point, what we're going to do, we're going to go to the workbook, and we're going to pull up the page of the workbook. There we go. And we're going to start with that. Let's look at the first thing of day three reflection. What is inner truth surfacing for you today? Inner truth is a thought process that comes from deeper than within, deeper than, let's say, everyday occurrences or things that you're dealing with on an everyday manner. Those are the things we're talking about. The things surfacing. What are things bothering you, or things that is an inner truth being something that has always been the essence of the honesty, the essence of the real you that always within, that you recognize, you cornerstoned it, that you benchmarked it. So let's take a second, really think about what is that doing for you? And how does this message apply to your current experience? Well, that's interesting in the sense of what is your current experience? So let's think about this. The things that's going on in your life that created a certain situation that brought you here to figure out how to refine a path. So let's kind of make a visual impression in our mind. If you were out to in a rural area and you come up to a house that you know that you need to get to the door. And yet, the road that leads to the house has been overgrown with grass, shrubberies, bushes, weeds. So, the key thing is you have to clear the path before you get started again. So, clearing a path is often key when you're looking for inner self. And what I mean by that is that often something happens that created such of situation that often is traumatic. Often it creates a energy of negativity that brought you to a place where you need to compartmentalize and stash it away and lock it away or put it in a box, however you needed to do it to create a distance away from it. The problem with doing something like that is now you're taking a piece of you and you're shutting it off. So that is important to always address as you clear the path to inner self is what actually spawned this lockdown, allowing the weeds to grow around the house, the bushes, the shrubberies, grass. Pretty soon you can't see the path. And if you let it and allow this to keep going, pretty soon you will not see anything other than just the weeds. And pretty soon from the roadside, you start to recognizing, wait a minute, there's no house there. There's no road. Where am I at? And you're lost. You're no longer there. So it's extremely important to recognize this path, the clearing. It's important. Now, with that, let's go to the checklist. Identify one limited belief to release today. Again, it's about something that a limiting belief that you've had that causes you to basically stop short at the 1 yard line or gets you to the door, but you're not opening the door. So be real honest with yourself and read into how you need to find this limited belief. Only you know what is stopping you. Sometimes it's very painful to look within self, to having to find that situation, that incident, that wound that need to be addressed, that needs to be nurtured and healed. The next checkbox on the checklist is create a new empowering affirmation. Again, it's about affirming something that you have now experienced. So it's in a way finding a key and then holding on to the key. Now, mantras can work this way. Mantras is a series of statements or words that will help you to relocate center self, to center and be grounded. So put your mind and thoughts toward that in regards to when you create an affirmation to affirm the belief system that you want to change, to empower yourself from the inner self, opposed to just the outer self. The outer self is something that it's easy to empower. You can go spend money and feel real good about yourself. You can buy a new suit or a new dress, buy a new car. These are all things that empowers you because it brings pleasure and it makes you feel good. But for the moment, it doesn't really help in the big picture regards to inner self. So on day 3, I'm already asking you dig deeper than day 1 or day 2. And the key component is that this is a refinement, that digging deeper within yourself is the only way to find the truth, to find that path that you can connect. And that's extremely important. Let's take a look at the last checklist item is take one inspired action aligned with your goal. Now, this is very similar again to what we've done in day 1 and day 2. What are you going to dig and find to align with your goal? Number 1 is, have you identified your goal? Have you already look at the full capacity of what you have committed yourself to this year with the 365 method? So if you're on day 3, you know you've already chipping away at this huge Gibraltar of 365. So you're taking your steps forward, and that's a good thing. These are things that you need to honor yourself. What I mean by honor yourself is praise, pat yourself on the back, words of encouragement, affirmations. So now you understand. So let's go back here. Let's talk about the action step. Write one paragraph that your journal on how you're evolving with today's energy. Today's energy. How do you feel? What is today entail in regards to what's going on around you? Now, thunderstorms often have a different energy than a nice, breezy, sunny type of day. And with that, every energy is different. And are you receiving these energy differently? Do you honor these energies differently? Do you adapt to these energies differently? Adaptation is one of the things that is so important in refinement, because adaptation allows you to flow again, be with one, be liquid, be formless, shapeless. It is important for you to embrace this, because that is the huge key factor in regards to how to go deeper every day. Let's take a look at the action step with today's energy on you. How are you accepting today's energy on within yourself? Did you eat correctly? Did you have enough sleep and rest? Without those key components, it's really hard for you to function optimally. And what I mean by that, optimally, when you have enough rest, you're going to have a clearer mind, easier to think, deeper thoughts, more vitality in your spirit and your being. So rest is key. Now, however, not everybody's schedule allows an 8-hour sleep or 9-hour sleep every day or all night. I strongly encourage, if you can obtain 8 to 9 hours sleep every day. If not, break it up. Take naps. Make sure you get rest. Rest is also involved in not just sleeping, but meditating. Go into a mindset where you can rest peacefully, rest your mind. And how would you do a meditation? Well, let's talk about that for a second here. When we're doing meditation, let's say to rest, what you would want to do is set yourself up in an environment that is very quiet and serene. So if you have a house full of people or pets that is create constant chaos, you may need to go to another location to help yourself to have a quiet environment. Once you are in the quiet environment, you can be seated or you can lay down. It's up to you, however, you feel that makes you the most comfortably relaxed position. Once you are there, close your eyes, concentrate on breathing in and then breathing out. A lot of techniques have used counting, but I find counting also creates thought. So therefore, you're paying attention to the numbers, and which goes back to logic, which goes back then to mind. We don't want the mind to work when we're relaxing, especially in a meditative state. So what I recommend is your concentration in your mind's eye. If you have your eyes closed, I want you to envision the look above your nose into the third eye between your eyebrows. And you're going to do this with your eyes closed. And the interesting thing is, your eyes are trying to interpret this information. However, if you look that way with your eyes directly and you just work on breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Create a rhythm. Follow the rhythm. Once you got a pace going, and soon you will be away from thinking about breathing. Soon you stop thinking about your eyes not being able to see above your eyebrows into your pineal gland in your third eye, because all of a sudden, different imageries, different energies, different calmness comes over you. Some people would do this exercise and immediately start to connect and go into a state that receiving information from the source. However, if you're focusing on connecting, you're disconnecting because you're using your thought. So what you want to do is relax, really focus on the being in the moment, the present. So let's go back to checklist. Everything looks good for you. You feel great. So let's take that. Go back to the page. And what do we see on the page now? When you start to look into the graphic of illustration of where should I be, what do you see? What is appearing in your mind? Being still serves you in so many ways. You must find the opportunity to learn to be still at a moment of decision. This is something that requires practice, refinement, the constant polishing of this bowl to make it shiny, mirror-like. Once you refine where you are at a position that you can be in the state of bliss by consciously making that decision and turning it on to be bliss, to be meditative, relaxed. And you will always reach there because once you've done it, you realize it, you understand it. Now, what you want to do when you're coming out of your meditative state is, once again, you want to breathe in and breathe out. But the intentions of this breathing coming back out is you're going to take much deeper and longer holds and longer exhales because the energy has changed. Remember, breathing brings life into you. It vitalizes the energy. It brings you the level of consciousness that is within you. And this helps tremendously on reaching your goal, on understanding where and what and when of things that you need to pay attention to, because they will unveil themselves. So let's talk about this for a second before we leave. The aspect of unveiling self, especially during meditative states, especially when you're searching in the beginning on how to go deeper within your consciousness without using anything, without going psychedelics, without having to use cannabis, but just using your own talent, your own ability, your own skills and techniques. If you can achieve that and be able to receive when you come back of things that you remembered where you were at and the information that you have when you're doing your meditations and relax, you'll soon realize that this is a place that is extremely safe for you to go to. And you will find yourself going to this place deeper and much more frequent than your daily exercises, because then it becomes part of you. Remember, the idea behind the 365 method here is to be able to create a self connection between the inner self and your everyday self, the self that gets up, that makes breakfast, that goes out, shake hands, meet people. That's great. However, just remember, if you are doing those things and yet you are unsatisfied, it's because there's a disconnection with the inner self. So our goal when we're starting on this is to be able to visit ourselves, our inner selves, connect to our other outer, and be able to harmonize in synchronicity to be able to be a whole entirety of who you are. It seems to be that everything that we have currently in our reality, especially with the entertainment aspect of it, it tends to create a bridge and a gap between the inner self and our outside self. And this came about regards to creating a false sense of what reality could be from things you see on movies, TVs. These are often things that are created not as truth, but as a statement of something else. We call it entertainment because, frankly, it was done and we're amused by it. And we spend money to get amusement. But that's not really the case. Our brain functions in a way that we receive the information as if we are digesting reality. That could be a major problem for people if they're constantly consuming the wrong, quote unquote, entertainment. So again, it's back to about yourself, isn't it? It's always about self. Where should I be? Are you eating fast food every day? Are you eating processed food? Do you open a bag of chip without even thinking about it anymore? It's just a ritual, if you will. Do you have your third Diet Coke or your fourth Red Bull of the day? Keep in mind, you are very powerful, organic creation of God, and yet you are taking synthesized chemicals and fabricated products and putting that into your sanctuary, your domain, contaminating yourself in the worst way. So make a decision. Be truthful. What are you willing to do in this 365 method approach? Are you going to get the most out of it? Are you going to step up and really refine the best of yourself? Because if you are, those are things you need to pay attention to and start to create a way to chop all that shrubbery down and start to locate the path to your house. Because your house is holy. It is God's greatest creation. And God bless you. For day 3, I wish you the best, and I will see you back in day 4.